right. We're moments away. If we have anybody watch today, Rob, it'll be a miracle. Everyone's probably watching the
launch.
The launch. If
Right.
But,
all right.
Yes, indeed.
Most people watch on the
the
podcast side anyway.
Yeah, later. It's always fun though to have people.
Oh yeah, live.
Yeah. All right. So that recorder's running. Hey everyone, welcome to the New Media Show. My name is Todd Cochran. Of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee. Rob, how you doing?
Doing terrific, Todd. Great to be back on Wednesday.
Yes.
And we definitely want you to call in and join us. So I don't know, Todd, if you want to throw up that call-in line, but it'd be great to have some folks call in today.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I need to launch Skype on the other machine so that they can call in.
Right.
So today's historic. If the weather permitting, in about an hour and 40 minutes, we started the show a little early today because in an hour and 40 minutes, we are once again, knock on wood, SpaceX and NASA is going to put two men safely on their way to the International Space Station. So we will cross our fingers here. We're doing this show we started a little early today because we wanted to watch the launch, but I'll be honest with you, Rob, I'm cheating a little bit. You know why?
Why?
I've got SpaceX up on the screen.
I had a feeling that's what you were going to be doing.
Yeah, I got SpaceX running here of course I can't hear them, and I don't know if there's any closed caption, but on my computer there isn't. But no, so this is it's a historic day for America. Back in putting, no longer launching on the Soyuz. Yeah, we're going to be built in America. At least we think so.
That's great. That's great. I mean, yeah. How many years has it been since we've launched a person up in space? As far as the U.S.,
the space shuttle was retired in 2011.
11. Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. So they figured when they launched in 11, it would be 9 to 10 years, and I think we shaved off a little time because SpaceX really kind of did their thing. And so, Godspeed to these astronauts that are on board. And both these guys have flown before, so we'll see how it goes. But I actually put on my calendar from 4 to 5. I just blocked it out already, and then I said, "Oh man, we got a show today that runs right up to 3 minutes before launch. We better go early." So, anyway, those of you listening don't care. It's already happened.
Well, some do,
right?
I think. Yeah.
So,
and maybe some folks didn't know what happened, but I think those that listen afterwards, I'm sure it's going to be on replay somewhere.
I'm sure.
Right. So what's the address to the? Is it just SpaceX.com?
It's SpaceX.com/launches. Is where the live stream is at. And I'll be honest with you, SpaceX style, these guys are in like this Cadillac. It's almost like they're in a Tesla because the new astronaut uniforms are incredibly beautiful.
And streamlined and not bulky like the other ones.
Right. And now I don't think these are designed for spacewalks per se. Obviously they're not doing that anyway, but they got a console with 3 big LED screens, and they've got a hard panel button with the hard controls, and then a very dangerous lever in the middle of the capsule that would abort. They could abort manually. So that's probably something they don't want to keep their hand. I remember when, when I was stationed in Lemoore, California, and I got to do 2-seater FA-18 rides. They had what they call it the RAG. It's basically the training group, but Navy slang is the RAG, is where the pilots learn how to fly F-18s. And so I'd done a bunch of favors and basically finally was able to get some 2-seater rides. And the main thing the pilot always said, well, I can't repeat it on the show or we'll have some F-bombs here. But there was a specific handle.
Yes.
You keep your hands away from the pan. When I'm pulling G's, do not use that for your stress relief.
Right. Oh, jeez.
Okay. And he says, if I eject you, you're going to hear the word E, and you will be gone. You won't even know. I will auto sequence eject you. And he says, if you actually hear the word eject, he said, you pull the handle because that means I can't.
Right. That's funny.
But a lot of people don't know this, but they told you never to lock your knees because they put straps. You basically hook straps to your boots. And because your feet kind of went in under the cockpit. So if they reject you, they retract your feet, bring it,
and
then punch you through. But if you locked your knees, you're going to have busted leg.
Right. Sounds like. Oh, wow.
So yeah. Anyway, trivia. You can spend some time on that, but that was many, many, many years ago when I was a much younger man and the heart could take it.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's good to see us getting back into the space game again.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting. And I actually interviewed a guy down in South Africa yesterday that does a astronomy show, and we were talking about it a little bit yesterday too. So for those that listen to the Podcast Insider, that'll be on the Podcast Insider show tomorrow. But so anyway, Rob, I don't think we can talk about the meeting, but you and I just got out of a meeting, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I don't know, Todd. I mean, I think the concepts that we talked about there are not exactly what I would call proprietary or anything, right? To just that group, right?
These
are issues that the whole industry faces. Some of them anyway.
So basically, we had an IB meeting today, and there was a considerable number of people on the call, a considerable number of opinions, and talk about the podcast measurement guidelines and some things that are going on of concern.
Mm-hmm.
And some suggestions and some bold actions. I don't know. What do you think? You consider it bold, or?
I think they're kind of catch-ups to where we need to be, and I don't know that the IAB guidelines have been really, designed to be flexible enough to accommodate, real-time type of situations, and I think that's what we were starting to work out. Right?
Yeah. So there's a few things going on in the space that are causing some inflation on some numbers. And I don't know if I necessarily want to go into that in detail here because I don't want to really, got to be careful with what we talked about there. But it's, we're just putting together some concerns, and I think there's going to be some sort of a document that's going to come out of it that will make a public appearance at some point.
Well, I was, and this is the topic that I raised to the group, and it's just really, I guess, getting everybody on the same page when it comes to the metric, because there are optional things in the standard spec right now that I think were in there because we were trying to generate consensus, right?
Yeah.
And there were compromises made for flexibilities in how to implement under a certain type of basic structure, right? So, I think some of the topics that were raised today raised the question of, do we need to tighten those specifications a little bit to keep everybody a little closer in their numbers? Because I don't think it's helpful, Todd, to have one platform have significantly different numbers. Even if it's 2 or 3 or 5% or whatever, when both of those platforms are certified, right? And I think that's the bigger issue that is kind of surrounding this. Some of the finer details we probably don't want to talk about in specifics yet, but that's kind of the general theme.
And I think too is many of us wanted stricter compliance levels in the early days, but we really had to get 32 companies on board. But some of the faces, I've seen a lot of new faces today I've never seen before. Right. Maybe some of that has changed, and I think what we will potentially see, I hope, will be a revision of the podcast measurement guidelines that lock some of this, as you would put it, variable stuff into place, and that will go a long, long ways. We also guess there's going to be another announcement maybe next week of another company getting certified. So,
well, it's already on the website, so I would say that it's probably already public information right now.
oh, is it? I didn't. Someone said that they looked at the website and didn't see it, but it did get updated.
That's what they said in the comment thread.
All right.
That it's live on the website, and it's the Megaphone folks.
Yeah, so that was the information that came out during the meeting. They finished up certification, so
All right.
good for them.
Yeah.
But a little discussion. Yeah, well, anyway. So anyway, lots of discussions going on, and I think it was good. We didn't get to the one topic that I thought probably would be the biggest contention one. And it talks about the, adding additional definitions to download.
Okay.
So,
well, I think we're going to be either doing weekly or every 2-week meetings going forward for a while until we work out some of these things.
And there was
which is good.
There was a pretty good list of stuff that people wanted to talk about too. So it's been a while, right? How long's it been since?
It has been.
It's been a long.
It's been at least probably a year since
that
group has really gotten together.
Yeah, well, we did one in December, but it was more about the topic that we were meeting again about today. And then, so hopefully we can start. I'd like to see it move a little quicker, to be honest with you. And
right.
I think some people maybe will say once a week is too much, but yeah,
I'm sure you can get a lot accomplished quickly.
We hope so. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But so anyway, good meeting, and there was some actual some people on the call that I did not know were IEB members. So, because the IEB has a certification process that allows non-members to get certified, and there was a couple of people on the call that I was like, oh. So I did want to ask, were they invited because they got certified, or were they actually IEB members? So.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just send a private note back and ask. I'm assuming the only way you got on the call if you were an IEB member.
IEB member, right?
Yeah,
that's probably the only reason you found out about it,
right? So anyway, it was a decent meeting, and I'm sure some of the people that there's a camp out there that doesn't like the IEB stuff. We talked a little bit about that on the last show. So.
Well, I think that there was discussion about maybe having some sort of a baseline compliance that wasn't certification. I don't know, but that also was something that doesn't sound very realistic.
No, I don't. It goes back to just remove the compliance thing. Say you're certified.
Well, that's exactly what my point was too. Just you're either certified. If you're going to claim compliance, then there's got to be some way to validate compliance. But in the meantime, anyway, at least create a separation between the two. Because one is not the same on both sides. So,
regardless of, it's something we've complained a lot, and then we've talked about on the show before, is that we have companies out there that can't claim compliance. And they haven't went through certification, and we know that their compliant numbers are nowhere near accurate.
Right.
And it
just causes more confusion in the space.
And buyers don't know the difference, and you have to educate them for them to understand the difference. But you have to do that education every 6 months. So
right.
But so anyway, other than that, it's been busy. I'm just we had a long weekend. I enjoyed it. Had beautiful weather here, and then it's freaking fantastic. It's like 80 degrees today. Instead of cold fronts coming through, it's getting down to 72. That's my kind of cold front.
Right, exactly. That's perfect weather.
That's right. And I officially put all the blue jeans and pants up in the winter drawer. I don't wear any pants the rest of the summer until the snow flies.
Todd, I saw that James put in his newsletter today that he's posing the question: is it time to rethink the podcast app? I thought it was an interesting post. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that or not.
I did, But I don't feel that they're hacked music. Well, the experience is literally the same. So why would you expect them not to look like a music player?
Right. Well, isn't what he's talking about here exactly what Spotify is doing mostly?
But it's interesting here is potentially he says somebody that's by the name of Morton, whoever that is, a yet unnamed podcast app which breaks conventions by not allowing you to subscribe to shows.
Right. That's innovation right there.
Backwards ass innovation is what that. And what that is that is not understanding the viability of this space.
Yeah. Well, it's I guess some usability experts take this position that taking features away is an improvement, right? Though I don't know that that's true in this case. Some people want to subscribe. I guess the end of the day, it's not so much the subscribe; it's what the subscribe function actually does is what's important. Because I mean, if you just subscribe and it's just like favoriting something or I like something,
Right.
that's not as deep of a relationship
No.
that the audience has with the content, which is the whole purpose behind subscribe was to initiate a potential auto download. But maybe we don't need that anymore, Todd.
Well, of course not. We're not flying, we're not driving. We don't have
Especially
places
now.
where there's no connectivity.
Right.
We're not out on the ice in Australia. We're not on boats crossing the ocean. There's no place for subscriptions and having pre-downloaded the content to be able to listen to later. Of course, this is
Now, especially because of this, people are not traveling as much.
well.
People aren't commuting.
I'm
being
facetious here because there's hundreds of use cases to listen.
Oh yeah,
the podcast.
If we go back to normal, I agree with you, Todd. I mean, it's like there's a million situations, or not a million, but there's a handful of situations that you can get into where it's nice to have it handy there, and you don't have to worry about what your connection is, especially on airplanes, right? I think that's the biggest one.
But at the same time, I also understand, and it's just like I talked with this gentleman from South Africa yesterday. Right. There are bandwidth is data plans, mobile data plans are not equal across the world.
Right.
And
that is true.
And unlimited bandwidth that most people have with their phones today, at least it feels unlimited. You may get throttled at the end. Is that's an American thing, but outside of the United States, you have to buy a load, you get so much data, or it costs so much, maybe economically you can't support it. But what is common in most of those countries is Wi-Fi is available widely.
Right.
So they can go and connect to a shop or internet cafe or a McDonald's or wherever and get Wi-Fi, download that content, and walk away.
Todd, one other characteristic that's mentioned in this is having the app change its look and feel for each show, being more consistent with the branding of the program itself. I guess this could be beyond just color, right? It could be other things, but it's not really specified here entirely. But I was thinking maybe there is something to do that could be initiated with an extension of RSS with tags to be able to initiate these type of functionalities, right? Around color changes for the environment around. Is it a dark color background? Is it a light color background? It's almost like what people do with websites, right?
Right.
And is that something that's worth looking at?
Well, potentially, and Apple's done a little bit of this to try to match your album art coloring with your all that stuff. So that's not unusual, to be frank. But I don't know. I think I think a lot of people that build podcasting apps really don't and haven't been and don't understand podcasts in general.
Well, because they're they're software developers or whatever. They're typically not podcasters, right?
I don't want to listen to a never-ending stream of podcasts. And I don't need captions because the phone is on my desk or in my pocket or...
Right. You're not looking at the screen.
Yeah,
anyway.
we're not looking at the screen.
Right.
You,
So some of these are just kind of like, they're okay to have, but really nothing that innovative. Right.
so he's asking the question, time to rethink the podcast app? Well, you spend spend $100,000 and develop one and see if it works.
I would say to be fair to the current app developers out there, I think that's what all those guys do all the time. I mean, Marco Arment from Overcast has done as much, podcast listening app kind of updates and improvements or some innovations than anybody else in the space. I think.
I would think so too. And
Right.
his app remains number one.
Right.
For this show, it's Pocket Cast. Imagine that.
Really?
Yeah. Number one app number one outside of Apple.
Right.
The number one independent app is Podcast Addict. So by a lot, maybe 8-9%. So
interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
And I think even for my personal show, Podcast Addict is close to number one because I don't use Overcast and never talk about it. I talk about Podcast Addict, and
right.
So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, well, that's cool though.
But yeah, so I think we're, here's the end point. As a podcaster, we shouldn't care how people listen, as long as they can listen.
At the end of the day, I would say that's true.
Yeah, at the end. And, and I'm going to do my best to train my audience to listen the way I hope they will. Which, in every one of my Geek News Central shows, like within the first minute, I'm telling them, come over to the website and subscribe.
I mean, Todd, I spent a lot of years thinking about ways to do things differently in the podcasting space to make it march forward and make it, help it improve, and thinking about the future of the medium. And I'm all in favor of, some innovation in this space that is really profound innovation. It's been a little frustrating. I don't know if you feel it too, that there hasn't been a lot of that. I think a lot of things that are done repeatedly over the years that have, seemed like revolutions in the past that didn't quite work out, that people do, 10 years later or 5 years later, thinking that it's a revolution, and it never really kind of does it. I mean, a lot of podcasting is pretty much the same as what it was when it started.
Yeah.
There's certainly a lot of improvement on the listening side, but on the podcasting publishing side and all that stuff, there's a lot of stuff that really hasn't changed that much.
So I had a thought, and it's been percolating in the back of my brain for, I don't know, a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since this thing started lockdown, we talk about these virtual events, and we're seeing a lot of virtual events pop up a lot. Matter of fact,
there's one starting tomorrow.
Yeah. And it's the Future Podcasting, 251 people attending.
Yeah.
And that number kind of scares me because it's pretty low, but I didn't hear about this event till the newsletter came out this morning. Yeah,
it's a new event. From what I gather, they're going to have another one of these in the middle of July. So this is going to be a fairly, going to be like every couple months kind of a deal.
And there's only like 2 people on this entire panel that I think I've ever heard of before.
Right.
Maybe a couple more.
Right.
But
one has been on this program.
Yeah. So I guess the question then really is it time to start doing a virtual conference, Rob? Are we well suited to having a little virtual conference that's derived from the show, or is it something to think about, or do we not want to get into that game at all?
I don't know. I mean, I think the pattern that we saw a little bit with the We Are podcast event that happened last week was about 200 plus people, attending. It it looks like that's kind of the sweet spot for these things, is about 200 to 250, at least so far anyway.
So I looked at and again, I don't begrudge anyone making money. And so if I do the math on the event that's happening here tomorrow, they've collected $6,200 in registration fees, $6,250 in registration fees, and they're having, of course, no one's getting paid, I'm sure, to come in and speak. So, and I don't know who's organizing it, to be frank.
The future of podcasting.
Yeah.
Stuff. It's 3 guys. Actually, I think it's listed on their website. Let's see here.
I'm just going to their place where you get tickets.
Sam Sethi, he's actually one of the speakers, actually the main. Okay, yeah, it's listed here. It's Sam Sethi, Andrew Grill, and Minter Dial are the organizers.
So
they're actually out of the U.S., so they're not U.S.-based guys.
Oh, so they're in UK or someplace like that.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So, and I don't agree begrudge it, because it's, it takes a lot of work to put an event on, to organize something. So I just, I don't know. I don't know if it's time to do some sort of an event. I think a lot of these have a wide range of topics, and maybe that's the downfall of why they're not as popular. Maybe these events need to have a singular focus for an 8-hour straight time frame to be able to reach a specific audience, because there's some topics even that are just, they're all over the board.
Right.
So someone that's a 101, someone that's maybe looking into podcasting, they're going to come into some of those sessions. They're just going to be like, I'm lost. Yeah. And so they'll check out. Whereas if it's a 101 conference, then it's more focused. You have, 6, 7, 8 hours. Then would you not have a better chance of, I don't know, maybe it's still 250 people?
Well, I think if you have multiple tracks, I think like with the We Are Our Podcasts event tried to do, I mean, if you have like a beginner's track and an advanced track and a pro track or something like that, I think you could segregate people into different tracks that could be most helpful to them. But a lot of these, like this particular event, I think is a fairly advanced track. I mean, it's not for beginners, I don't believe. So, yeah. So anyway, did you see where the Adam Carolla podcast did a live stream and got 1.1 million live video streams of his Adam Carolla show?
That's pretty impressive. 1.1 million.
Yeah.
That's like a number.
Well, and that was on the live by live, platform that Podcast One.
So did he just do a normal show?
I don't know. I haven't seen the actual show itself, but yeah, it's. I guess what we're starting to see is the power of what that deal might be able to do, right?
But you got to remember, Adam Carolla is Adam Carolla.
I know he's a big name, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. And what else is happening here?
Oh, there's a lot. I'm just, I got to thinking back about our last show. And I was like, man, we covered a lot of ground on the last show. We had a pretty good rant session going on too that lasted a little while. So that was a little fun. There is, a little bit of information talking about Android usage, and it again comes from Pod News, and he pulled this from a data report that came out by a company called Scientia Mobile. And it just basically, if any podcaster has any reason to wonder, and let me just put this up on the screen, those of you that are watching, if you have any doubt that you need to be talking about your Android subscription options for your show, globally 34.9% are on an Apple product and 65% are on an Android. the United States is split pretty well, 56-43 with Apple in the lead. But that is not the norm. Africa, 13% Apple, 87% Android. South America, 16% Apple, 84% Android. Europe, 32% Apple, 68% Android. Oh, North America, including Canada, 50% iPhone, 50% Android. So,
and down in the U.S., it's 56.4%
yeah.
iOS, 43.6% Android. But,
yeah.
I mean, so the U.S. definitely indexes really the highest, I believe, in the world for iPhone, which I guess makes sense. But yeah, Todd, you're exactly right. I mean, Android is where the future is of this medium. There's no question.
So there was a post on Pod News talking about Amazon, and according to this headline,
yeah, I saw that.
According to this headline, reading directly from this headline, Amazon will be delivering podcasts soon, according to Bloomberg. The article claims will be put into Amazon Music. Pod News says we'd assume they'd also replace TuneIn as a default podcast experience for Alexa speakers. Meanwhile, Amazon's Audible, they're said to be looking at a different price point to allow access to Audible original shows, but not to books. So,
I can't comment too much on that one.
I'm just reading here what folks from Bloomberg are reporting.
Right.
And reading directly from the report. Let's see, did they say who said this?
I don't think they said that. No.
So far. Yeah, I don't see anything in here about so speculation on Bloomberg's part, I guess.
Or somebody said something to them, I suppose.
Well, I guess maybe that's what someone said. But anyway, this is a bit of there's a lot of people, big players thinking about podcasting. So hypothetically, if Amazon got into if Amazon got into the space, that podcasts are also already readily available,
right?
In on Alexa devices. So
but it is primarily pulling from TuneIn and iHeart,
right?
Which are known to not have complete catalog. So just keep that in mind.
So I guess we'll see. I guess we shouldn't be surprised because they are in the content business with Amazon Prime and those offerings. So, So if they get into this space, who's left? Who's the big players that are left?
There's some big ones outside of the U.S. that are coming.
So so outside of the U.S., so that would be Alibaba. Who else?
I'm not going to name names.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
But if you think about, of course, here in the United States, so what are some of the big music brands outside of the United States? So those of you that listen to the show outside of the United States can maybe help us out here with some ideas. But
yeah.
Did you see that Rogan did an interview with New York Times?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, there's an interview on the New York Times about Rogan's deal, and he actually feels dirty about taking the money in the times of COVID-19.
Okay. I'm not going to say much on that, right? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'll have to go read the article. I think I maybe wasn't able to see it because the New York Times is paid platform.
Well, if you've been there more than 10 or so times in a month, I got the freebie look. But
Did you?
Yeah, and it was in the Pod Movement newsletter. Was the link to it I found. So if you're looking for the link to it, but pretty good article, and someone that had been on a show before actually wrote it.
So Todd, I did see a listing in Pod News, and I wanted to comment on this because I've met Larry King in the past and stuff because he worked a lot with Podcast One when I was working down there.
Is that dude like 90 now or something? Or how old is
He's
Larry?
86. So
86.
so James Cridland did a post in here about this was a few days ago, about him, Larry King, the former CNN guy that was on CNN for many, many years, signing a deal worth $5 million for his first ever podcast, Todd. But I worked on Larry King's podcast back in 2014.
Yeah, okay. Larry King. Now, Larry King, when he was on CNN, always promoted his podcast at the end of every one of his segments.
Right. I mean, he had a podcast when he was at CNN.
Right.
Exactly. And then he had a podcast with his wife at Podcast One.
His first ever. Hey, James, you got that wrong.
Right. It's all right, though. It's all right. Yeah.
5 million at 86.
Wow.
Could we be so lucky?
Man.
5 million.
I mean, he's definitely a personality. I mean, I've talked to him a few times in person over the years, and he's a nice guy. I mean, I like him.
So, but here's the interesting part. Let me read this. The show is being produced by 444,
right?
A media company owned by Jeff Beecher and Larry's son, Chase.
Chance.
Okay.
Wow.
So I wonder if
there's a connection there.
Ding! The light bulb anime comes above my head here. That's what we need. Technology had that little, So the question then really is 444, is it a VC funded operation?
Ooh, I don't know. You should do a little Googling on that one, Todd.
Because talk about insider baseball.
Yeah, there you go.
And a 5-year deal, 86. Larry, I hope you get all your money up front. And
well, congratulations to Larry for getting that deal at 86. I would love to be able to get a deal like that.
Yeah, cash your son's check quickly.
Right.
So let me go here. So I found it. It's 440studios.com, I guess. And let's see if we have anything in the About page. Let's see here.
Yeah, I especially like the post that James had just below it too about bandwidth. I thought that
was a
funny one.
Yeah,
so we talked about that one. Yeah.
Let's see here. Did I find? I don't think.
No, you didn't find it?
Not yet. I haven't had time to go look. And,
okay.
Sometimes a studio name is called something and the company name is actually something else. And, so. Yeah, I haven't found a linked adventure, so maybe not, But who knows? $5 million. I guess it pays to have been on national television. He left under controversy, if I remember correctly. Wasn't there some sort of Me Too incident with him?
I don't remember, actually. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either. Why I think it was Larry King leave CNN. Yeah, here he goes. Why did Larry King leave CNN?
It was time, Todd.
Maybe. Personal mess, not CNN pushes Larry King off the air. His messy personal life. So maybe there was some stuff going on there. Who knows? But
his messy personal life.
Yeah, that's
whatever that means.
Yeah, that's from the Wrap. So
yeah.
But he's been off CNN for quite a while.
Yeah. It's been probably over 10 years.
It was in 2010. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 10 years.
Yeah.
And maybe Matt Lauer will have a podcast soon, Nick.
Yeah. So this listing in Pod News called "Bandwidth Isn't Cheap for Many Podcast Hosts. It's one of the biggest bills I have." I don't know if that's really true.
No, no.
I think staffing is probably the
Staff
biggest.
is the most expensive.
Right. And it says, "We are curious, how much does Anchor add to Spotify's bandwidth bill?" And I think this was part of the question around can Spotify afford to pay for free podcast hosts, right? I think that was the bigger question.
Right.
And the spoiler to what's the article says, it's not as big as you'd think.
So what did he estimate that?
I think it was the estimation. From what I recall, it was a pretty liberal. I mean, it was like
being real generous.
Right, real generous. Like every podcast was doing weekly publishing, and it had
So what was
125 downloads per episode and all that stuff, right?
So being liberal, what was the total bandwidth that he extrapolated that they would use? Being very liberal.
And then the duration of each episode was like average around 37 minutes or something like that.
Oh, he's being really generous.
It was basically 7,740 terabytes.
Okay, so say that again. Hang on, let me put in
7,740 terabytes.
Or 7,740 terabytes. That's not a small number.
No, it's across four. What that means?
So let me. I'm gonna give you the based upon what I know. Let's just, and I'll be a little liberal here. So that is 7,740,000 gigabytes. 7,740 terabytes is 7,740,000. So we take 7,000,077. Oh, I got to clear this. I'm using a upper level math here. I could actually do this in my head, but we'll just.
We always get in trouble when we do math on the show.
That's right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm making sure I've got it right here. Yeah, there's 3 zeros. Okay. Let's go and say that they're paying a penny a gig. And I can almost guarantee they're not paying that much.
No.
So let's use half a penny. All right, let's say half a penny is what their cost is. So that's 0.005. So I multiply that by 0.005. And that means that their bandwidth bill per month for their podcasters is $38,700.
Right. And that's across what Daniel J. Lewis estimated was 427,000 podcasts are currently hosted on Anchor.
Well, about 370,000 of them are 80,000 of them are dead. So,
well, that's why we have to say that these numbers are extremely conservative and liberal on how much benefit of a doubt we're giving them, right?
So to be honest with you, their total monthly bandwidth bill is about $4,000 over there.
I don't know if I would have got down that far, but
well,
maybe half of that.
Yeah, I'll stick with $4,000.
You are being liberal, Todd.
So 7 terabytes is 7,000 gigabytes. But in his article he said it was 7,740 terabytes, right? James is in the chat room. Oh, he said gigabytes.
Yeah, I thought you said it right. It was 7,740,000 gigabytes.
Okay, now what in the article did he post? What did he come up with? What was his number in the article?
Yeah, he didn't actually sum it down to an actual dollar amount. All he did was say that it was about 1% of the bandwidth bill that Spotify pays for the whole platform.
Okay, well, I was looking for if he'd come up with, James, what was your number that you came up with did you come up with a terabytes number for the podcast? Or what is Spotify?
Yeah, 7,740 terabytes.
Oh, 7,740 terabytes was the estimate he came up with. Was the podcast traffic?
Was the download traffic for let's say 129 million hours, which translates into each one of those hours was 60 megs.
Okay, but that was for music and podcast, or
No, that's just for podcast.
okay, so 7,740 terabytes equals 7,740,000
1,000 gigs.
gigabytes.
Right. Correct. So
You see, I didn't come up with a dollar amount. So we just did, James. So
Right.
if we're using your number of 7,740 terabytes, that equals 7,740,000 gigabytes. You multiply that by half a penny, point zero zero.
Terabyte.
No, from terabytes to gigabyte.
Right.
Because you pay for bandwidth by the gigabyte.
Right by the gigabyte.
So it was 7,740,000 gigabytes. Multiply that by 0.005. It's $38,700.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the very liberal estimate.
One half of a penny, right?
One half of a penny. Yeah.
Right.
So, and they're probably paying more like 2/10 of a penny, or maybe.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. They're probably paying less than half a penny.
Well, and James, I'm not sure where James is getting this 0.98% of the Spotify bandwidth bill, but that'd be like 1% of.
He probably used it on their reported total active music plays per month or something like that.
Right.
But anyway, still, I'm betting that if I was to put $100 on the table, I would bet that the Anchor bandwidth bill is less than $4,000 a month
for 427,000 podcasts.
Yeah, that'd be $100, and I might go up to $5,000.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
Yeah, Eileen says, I know it's a tease to get people to the article, but I only want to know the dollar amount. You know, it's using the very liberal math that James gave them, which is, very entertaining in itself. It's a nice little exercise. Now, if those podcasts were really alive and really producing downloads, then
that number would be
$40,000. A significant number,
right?
Yeah, I talk to competitors, and I always say, when you can no longer pay for your bandwidth bill on a credit card and you have to do a bank transfer, you have really arrived.
Right.
When it can't be done, or they hit your credit card weekly instead of monthly, and you got to make sure you schedule a payment on that credit card weekly. James says,
given that is 1%.
Yeah, James says
of Spotify's total bandwidth usage.
Right.
That puts the total bandwidth usage on Spotify at almost 790,000.
We're into petabytes. So you got
almost a petabyte.
So Blueberry moves multiples of petabytes a month. So James says there are 286 million monthly active users for Spotify. In the UK, 31% of people, 17.1 million use on-demand music service if they listen to a total of 186 hours a week. That's 10 hours a week per user, 46 hours per month. He goes on and on and on. So this is going to roll off my screen as soon as. Oh, Todd says, those podcasts are really alive. I'm using Libsyn's median number. I guess some of those are dead too, but I agree it's a vast overestimate. Yeah. That's why I said $5,000, James. And I'm probably being generous.
That's not going to burn through that much.
It's nothing.
Venture capital, right?
They're not on venture capital. They got bought. The venture capitals got paid.
But back in the day, before they were owned by Spotify, they had significantly less podcasts than 427,000. I think they were like in the 60,000, 80,000 range.
But they were still running 95% DOAs. So
right. So their bandwidth number was barely $1,000 probably for the whole platform back before they were acquired.
Yeah, James says, this is so not written to read out. But anyway, no, to clarify, James, since you are listening and you're probably listening earlier, it is not the major expense. Payroll is the major expense in almost every company.
Right.
Yeah, payroll is by far it's Blueberry's number one by many factors.
Right.
Yeah. So, but
Even
again, remember, if you work for a company, Rob, if you work for a company that is offering free, you don't have payroll unless you've got venture, because there's no, how do you make money? Yeah, who do you pay payroll to when you have no income, or you just
no revenue?
or you got some other model you hope it's going to play out.
Right. Right.
And in all honesty, though, in today's entrants have a much easier road to hoe, because I remember when we started out, I can probably say I was paying 11 cents a gig when we started out hosting.
Yeah.
And now, it's times changed. Competition's got bad, more increased. Every year we go out and get 3 or 4 different bids from CDNs to try to push that rate down. And
right.
What you're trying to do then is, once you get to a certain point, you can get, let's say you get 20% savings on your bandwidth bill. But if you're only paying a penny and you get 20% savings, that takes you to 0.008. That is a huge win. That's a major revenue saver, just getting incrementally lower cost on the per gig scale. But now new entrants that come in the space, I can't imagine most entrants having an issue getting a penny. Just come into the space new. I can't imagine them having a problem getting a penny a gig.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to be hard.
Now they're going to have to get into the petabyte range to get a lot of additional savings there. So, that it is what it is. And that's one of the reasons. Well,
yeah.
So if people think there's a lot of money in bandwidth, it's it's not that much.
Yeah, it's the paying for the developers, it's paying for
it's paying for all that
costs,
stuff,
payroll costs, all that stuff is what really separates the from a viable company or an inviable company. It's not the bandwidth side of it.
Yeah.
And on the paid hosting platforms, that's really what you're paying for. Is you're paying for support, you're paying for software development on the infrastructure side to maintain it.
Right.
Bandwidth is a small issue, and I know for a period of time, Anchor was arguing that it was the bandwidth issue is what was really the key thing there, and it really wasn't. It was just a little bit of a deception.
When Anchor was almost out of money, it was not because of bandwidth. It was because of their payroll and their burn rate on everything else.
Right.
What had probably nothing to do with the bandwidth whatsoever.
Yeah.
They probably could have pulled all, they could have let everyone go and run on, software that hopefully didn't maybe have one person maintaining the code to keep the website up but it's not about the bandwidth. It's never been about the bandwidth cost.
Yep.
It's been about the team. That's what it's truly been about for any of these operations that are free.
Right.
So
that's true.
So
that is true.
Anyone that says it was because of the bandwidth bill, no. Maybe someone would like to make people think that.
Yeah.
Come on.
So I was looking at James's kind of pod job too, and it looks like that there's still a steady flow of new job opportunities, work opportunities in the podcasting space.
Well, it's
good.
People, if anyone in the podcasting space tells you right now that times are tough, then there's a mass influx of new podcasters. I don't think as much as the previous month, but it's steady.
Right. It's true.
So I will say that there was definitely an inflection point with those 90,000 new podcasters joining in 1 month. That's insane. but we'll see what the number. I'm curious to see what the new numbers are for May. Just based on our volume, because we all share a certain number of, we all split customers a certain amount. I would say that May was not as big as April by maybe half. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. We'll see what I could probably look myself, but let me actually go look, see if I can see how much has grown on our website. So no, I'm not showing a screen. I'm not supposed to. I'm always doing that now because. So anyone give us a status? What's going on with SpaceX? Are they still counting down? Does the weather look good? Anybody two earing it today? Are you guys, watching one thing? And let me look here. Programs. What's the number? Whoa. Oh, there's considerable growth still. I'm at 1,118,000. Am I right? 1,100,000. No. What? Can't be right. Oh, there's something going on there. I need to go. Someone has. Can't be okay. I thought I was reading 1,885,000. I was going to say, I gotta hang up here, Rob. I gotta call the dev. Something's broke.
Right. Hey, Todd, I sent you an email in your Gmail account.
1,118,541 is our count, and we're always much higher than the normal count. So,
right.
Oh, can I announce this? This looks like public.
Yeah, it's up on the website.
All right. So, all right, I got a screen I can share. So when was this put out? When was this made active? Are we breaking news?
Just in the last couple of days.
Okay, so James, Podcast Academy is named their board of governors.
Right.
So chairperson, our co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee.
Yeah.
Vice chair, Donald Albright. Don't know who he is. Secretary, Carrie Hoffman. Know who she is. Presidency of PRX. Treasurer, Christy Maribal, VP of Marketing, Sony Music Entertainment. Donald Albright is vice chair, president, co-founder of Tenderfoot TV.
Yeah, he did a couple of podcasts, true crime podcasts.
Governors, Conal Byrne, iHeart, Ben Cave, global head of podcast at Apple. Eric Dine, CEO of Stitcher. Ina, if I pronounce the name wrong, sue me. Anna Grudeman, leader of podcasting and program innovation at NPR. Courtney Holt, head of studios and video Spotify. Herman Lopez, founder and CEO of Wondery. Rika Murthy, independent podcast strategist. Liana Percy Ruiz, executive producer on Being Studios. Oren Rosenbaum, agent Emerging Platforms United Talent Agency. Laren Spoorer, co-creator of Criminal and This Is Love podcast. Christina Moore, founder of Don't Skip Media. Isla Tavokalin, EVP of Content Spoke Media, and Jenna Weiss Berman, co-founder of Pineapple Street Media, and not a single indie podcaster on the list except for you, Rob.
Well, I mean, some of these folks came out of the indie side of things, and they just did deals with some networks and stuff. But yeah, I mean, a lot of them are from public radio.
So again, I'll say it again: no independent podcasters on the board of governors.
Right. Well, yeah.
So
I would go ahead, Todd.
So they listened to you, but they didn't listen to everyone else, in my opinion.
Okay. This is just the founding group. It's there's going to be a whole, nomination process and things like that beyond. That's going to happen too. So there's going to be opportunity, I think, to be much more open about that selection process on who's on this. In the future, this is just a founding group.
So I guess I will say that I'm happy that you're in the position you're in.
Right.
And to be honest with you, there's no way I could do it. I'm glad you've got the fortitude to battle through.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do what I can.
Yeah. So we had announced Rob before. I guess people hadn't listened, but so interesting here.
Yeah.
So how many people on this list? Let's go back to the list.
Mhm.
So how many of these people have actually ever created a podcast? So you have.
Donald has.
Okay, that's 2.
Let's see here. Who else? Let's see. Let's see here.
So Lauren has. That's 3.
Lauren has, right.
Christina has. That's 4.
Christina has, yeah. Jenna, definitely.
That's 5.
Yep.
Everyone else are, well.
And, Donald Albright.
We counted him already.
Oh, we did already.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess 5 actual people that have actually created content. Seeing this is the Podcast Academy.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that are getting involved in the podcasting space that are, behind the scenes people, right?
Is there any reason why they didn't pick any international people?
I think probably at this stage, the board was mostly formed before the organization was planning on including the rest of the world in this. So this rollout is going to be a global rollout. So that decision was just made 2 board meetings ago. So most of the board was already selected before that decision to open it up on a global scale was made.
So James says, impress the board that has Spotify, Apple, iHeartMedia, and Libsyn on it. That doesn't deserve snark. That's quite good. So I'm not dogging on this. I'm just, I'm asking questions.
Right, you're just asking simple questions. Yeah. And this is one of the reasons these type of questions are one of the reasons why we're going to do a couple of open webinars where people can come in and ask all the questions. Coming up here on June 18th. So, yeah.
So we'll have to see. You got a big job ahead of you, and I'm glad you got the CPU cycles. I just I couldn't be politically correct enough. So.
Well, there is a support staff that's working the organization. There's Michelle Cobb, who's executive director of the organization, and she did a lot of work on the I think it's the Audio Publishers Association. She worked with for many years, and Joanna Alaskis is the account manager for the organization. So those 2 are doing a lot of the day-to-day stuff with the organization. So really the board is really just a governing body that kind of directs the staff to work on this.
So this a 501c3 or is it a for-profit company?
It's a nonprofit. I don't think it's a C3. I think it's another one. It's a different one. I'm not sure off the top of my head here. That's what I need to find out here in the next couple of days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And according to the website, for those of you that are interested, membership opens on June 22nd.
Yep.
So you got a mailing list.
Things are starting to happen. Right?
Yeah. So how often are you guys meeting? Once a week?
Once a month right now. And then just, Slack channel, all that kind of stuff that's handling a lot of the back and forth
I'd
stuff.
love to be I'd love to be a birdie observing that Slack channel.
And we do have a membership committee as well, and that's actually chaired by Courtney Holt from Spotify.
Right.
So yeah.
So by the way, just so I threw my 2 cents worth in here, Podcast Awards nominations open on July 1st. So if you haven't registered your show for the Podcast Awards, the one original 15th year, podcastawards.com, get your show registered today. And again, disclaimer, I'm the owner of that. So.
Yep.
Hey, Rob, I know what you guys can do with some of that first money. I'm just kidding you.
Well, just to be clear, the membership fee is originally going to be, was set for $100, but it's only going to be $50 to actually join
Wow.
it.
What about corporations? Any idea?
It's a membership-driven organization. There's not going to be any corporate sponsorships
Really?
or memberships. Right?
I had originally heard that might not have been the case. Has that changed?
Well, I think if you think about it relatively realistically, and to be entirely honest about it, I mean, even how I think about it, I mean, when you have people in the membership, in the organization, on the board, those people tend to come from companies, right?
Right.
So I mean, this is a membership organization, and the members do represent companies, right?
Right.
So but it's not like iHeart is a member. It's Con O'Brien is a member, and he just happens to work for.
So if iHeart has 400 people that register to be members of the Podcast Academy, they will have some sway and vote.
Yes, but that we've already discussed that on the board, and that will be taken into account in any kind of voting that happens, right? Because each member will have to identify who they're employed with.
Oh, that's good.
So we'll be able to filter that biased out. Right.
Sounds very good,
yes.
Grasshopper.
Yes. Grasshopper. Yes.
Sounds very good. Oh, all right. So again, then there's going to be different. This is not, so everyone understands, it's not been following this. This is not just for podcasters. This is for producers. This is for people
editors,
so
salespeople, marketing people, all sorts of stuff.
So there'll be different categories.
Yeah, but it is primarily focused on education and helping people learn how to produce podcasts at a professional level. I mean, or at a quality level. And I think that's the driving initiative of the organization is to further podcasting on the creative as well as the quality side of podcasting, which I think we can all agree is important. But if you're an indie producer, I think it's important, but maybe not as important as maybe it is for, let's say, NPR or some organization like that.
So do you foresee, and again, I know you guys are still working out membership, but do you foresee someone that's been podcasting for 3 months can apply to be a member?
Yeah, I can see a pathway for that. Yeah. And all of the finer details on that pathway are still being worked on right now. I think that's going to be a big topic at our next board meeting before we roll this thing out. Just make sure that that's refined good enough to be open to all levels of podcasting.
Now, this may surprise you because I'm going to take a different angle here. Is $50 enough? Are you going to be able to raise enough money? Because, this, we've talked about it on this show publicly before this was announced. So how many staff members are there that are going to be payroll? 2? 3?
Just two.
So 2. So I'm just taking a shot here.
Right.
And again, I have no idea how much they're making and I don't care, but I'm going to put $250,000 down for, no, let's put 300 because let's put 300,000 down for salary. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't know. Todd's guessing.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have administrative fees. You're going to have some stuff that's going to, so you're probably going to have another 100 for administrative website. Let's say $500,000 a year to run this bad boy. I'm guessing. And
I think you could afford to pay for more staff than that level, but
okay, so let's take it down to 400 then.
I think that's still a little high right now, but that's okay.
Okay, so we'll go down to 300. All right, so we'll go down to. I'm trying to be. Okay, let's just say 300. Let's say each employee's getting paid $125. I don't know how much. I'm guessing. Disclosure: Rob has told me nothing. Okay,
I don't know what those are either.
Okay, that's fine. So just so everyone knows, Rob has told me nothing. I just want to make this clear so he's not in a bind. This is Todd's math alone.
But I'm going to find out.
Okay, but doesn't matter. Let's just say 300,000 for a year to run this thing. Because we talked about before, to run an organization, you're going to need $500,000 a year.
Well, if you really want to have an impact, right?
Okay, so let's take
some
let's take
investment,
300,000 and divide that by 50. We need
Right.
6,000 members to get there.
Yeah, that's not an impossible number.
That's a big number.
I agree, but it's not an impossible number.
So, James, Eileen, the rest of you, do you think we can get 6,000 podcasters to sign up at $50 a month?
No, a year.
A year. Sorry. I think I would have had to have said no. Let's make it $100. I would have went at 50.
It's going to be next.
Okay, so the kickoff is 50.
And I'll be frank about it. Most of the board members are going to kick in some cash into this to get it started.
Okay, I think I kind of heard hints of that before.
Yeah.
And there's how many board members total? Governor board members?
I haven't counted them all. Let's see here. 8 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think it's like 17, actually.
Okay, so James just said.
What
James responding says, depends if they advertise in Pod News.
Oh. Well, I guess I have to send an email after I get done with this.
Oh, that's funny. So, okay, so if there's 18 governors, that's what the total was? Really? 17. So I'm going to guess, again, you've told me nothing. So I'm going to say $5,000 each. And so that's 85,000. So, that might get you
seed money.
That's seed money. Right.
No, it's
it's what it is.
It's a common practice in
I know
other nonprofits to have founding board members, contribute to the pot to get it started.
I think it's important too that if you look at like the IEB, it's not a nonprofit; it is a for-profit business.
Right, they are. But
this is not, and that's really to me is important. And again, a lot of it has to do with the classification of what nonprofit status there is. So, the rules that go along with that. So, James says, if I only knew someone at the top.
Yeah. No, that certainly would be a benefit, James. Yeah.
So I think, for those of you that are listening, for full disclosure, I'll join. I'll be supportive. I'm going to be supportive of the organizations as much as I can. And I will definitely.
Yeah, and I'm joining too.
Yeah, except you or your company's ponying up bigger cash. So I am going to definitely, I'll encourage the Blueberry team members that, feel inclined to join. And then we'll definitely talk to podcasters too and have, encourage them to join as well. And I think that if this is done right, Rob, maybe there can be, you guys will be able to set committees up and members can participate in committees. And because this is, just so everybody understands this, even though there's a board of governors, there is going to be committees that are going to have to be formed that are going to have to do yeoman's work to make some of this stuff happen, some of the training and all this other stuff. So it's not like your ability to participate is zero at this point. There's going to be a huge opportunity to participate.
Right. And if you go to the website at thepodcastacademy.com, go to the About Us area, and it clearly lays out what the Academy administration is and how it works with the Board of Governors, and that there's going to be active members of the Board of Governors have a 2-year term, and then 9 members of the Board of Governors will be voted on by the members in an even numbered year starting in 2022. So 8 members of the board will be voted on by the members in odd number years starting in 2023. So there's going to be a rotation and a method doing this, and it's going to be voted on by members.
Do you know what your term is now, Rob? That you guys internally digested that, or is that TBD?
I believe it's 2 years.
Yeah. So I think what we have to, I've been busting on Rob hard here a little bit, but that's my job, even as his co-host, is to ask questions, and I think that
right. No, they're all valid questions. They're all good questions.
And I think so the audience is straight. When this was first formed, I had huge reservations.
Mm-hmm. So did I.
Had really big reservations, and as I think I very publicly said before, I was watching see as things go, and Rob, I congratulate you for taking the initiative to reach out and participate with them, and for me, it would be too much of a lift to be able to because it's going to be a lot of work.
Well, I hope it is. I mean, from the standpoint of we're able to accomplish some stuff in the space to help the space, and I think that's certainly my goal with it. Is it's just not going to. I mean, my goal is to make it an organization that's representative of the whole podcasting space, and I believe that is a big reason why they wanted me to be the chairman of it as well, is because I am sitting in a position where I can speak to the whole industry.
Right. Well, we're 27. Just so we're all on the clock here. 27 minutes and 32 seconds away from
the countdown, Todd.
The SpaceX launch.
You should put the countdown clock on the screen.
I don't have a way to do that, but it's
you don't. I thought TriCast could do all sorts of magic.
It can, but let me see. Can I set this up as how can I do this? Let me think about this. Yeah. If I had 5 minutes to look at my screen, I could probably set it up and make it a lower third. But Marty says the minimum I paid for a yearly membership in the no-profit world is $125 a year in a nonprofit or more. Marty, I think they've really, been aggressive here and getting the price down to $50. But I'm concerned that you guys went too low, and maybe some podcasters will poo-poo me for that. But I think your membership should, because okay.
I agree with you, Todd.
Perceived value.
Yeah.
Perceived value.
There may be some other ways that we can bring in revenue to the organization to fuel it, but any revenue that's brought in has got to be justified in how it's used.
That's true.
So we have to walk before we can run here. We got to figure out, what we want to accomplish before we go out and raise money.
Yeah. Have you guys worked on budget yet, or is that? I'm sure you have.
There's a budget already.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you're going to expend so much to training and all this other stuff that you got planned. Right. And I'm hoping that's where the membership committees will come in and will help guide some of that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and a big part of this is education too, right?
Right.
And
right.
Being and encouraging quality production, and we're still working on the awards part. I believe that it's going to be renamed to something that isn't already taken. So that's another part of what's being worked on too. Right.
It's good luck on the awards thing. I don't want to be on that committee.
Todd, you may not have a choice.
No. No.
Because I have pull.
That's okay. Anyone that's listening to this show, and if you're watching now,
just you and me right here.
Okay. The only way I would be on a committee like that if it was anonymous.
What are you worried about? You live in nowhere up in Michigan. What are you worried about?
There's no, I finally got my own thing kind of calmed down where, there's not like I don't get 8,500 hate emails and,
right.
As a matter of fact, my suggestion to the Board of Governors is when you guys set up the committee for the awards, that is anonymous. because no one's going to be happy.
Well, yeah. Well, I
because
guess
it's
that's why I have a target on my back, Todd.
well, you can defer. So the awards committee was the one that came up with this. That wasn't me. Just like or throw that one over your shoulder, right?
Oh, Todd, I forgot to tell you, you're the chairman of the awards committee.
No. So James is asking, is there a standards committee?
Not yet.
Okay. So I think he wants one.
I know he does. He's been wanting that for a while now.
Okay, so
James,
officially,
James, I appreciate that.
So they have moved. For those of you that want to see, that's not watching the SpaceX thing, they have moved the white room away from the rocket. It is cloudy at Cape Canaveral, and I don't know if they can punch through the clouds. I guess, but it looks a little dark off the left. I guess it depends if there's a thunderstorm going on.
I would imagine it depends on if there's upper level winds.
Yeah.
Right?
So the 22 minutes and 55 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're at. And we're not going to hold this show much longer because we know you're going to want to watch this. But hey, so I guess here's the dealio, everyone. And Rob, thanks for bringing this up. If you've got comments, you guys have a direct line to Rob. You listen to the show. You can. Do you already have a new email? Oh my God. You've got 20 email addresses already, all the way from Microsoft to every company that exists in the podcasting space. I'm sure you're going to have a new email address, but for now, we'll let them. It's robg@libsyn.com. Don't be afraid to fill his inbox up with your thoughts about the Podcast Academy.
Thank you, Todd.
But I bet his new address is going to be, I would, matter of fact, probably test it, rob@thepodcastacademy.com. That would be kind of cool.
The Podcast Academy.
The Podcast Academy. Who owns podcastacademy.com?
It's a different company. It's a different organization. Or it's a different company. I think it's a consulting company. Why don't you pull it up?
Oh, I know who owns this. I could have bought this domain Michael Gohagan tried to sell this to me about 10 years ago. He wanted like $5,000 for it. I know who has this. Yeah. So, yeah, I could have bought this before, but I didn't really. I could have really cashed in. Crap. And it's actually held out of a company out of Australia. Oh, actually, Australia and Santa Barbara. So, yeah, I knew.
Maybe I should have a conversation with those folks.
Yeah. You know what? Here's the problem. It's just like, you need someone third party to contact them because they're going to smell blood in the water. And they're going to be like, oh, yeah, we'll sell you that domain name.
Right.
It's one thing we haven't switching. Well, I'm going to flip the topic here for real quick before we go. We haven't heard anything about the Academy, not the Academy, the Hall of Fame.
It's true.
Okay. Well,
it's not for lack of trying. I'll just put it that way.
I shouldn't even say who owns podcasthalloffame.com.
Well, I think we know.
Yeah, me. So, and I had it long before they announced their thing. So,
interesting, Todd.
Yes, it is.
Maybe you should do something with that.
I can't. Well, no. No, if the guys,
I'm just full of ideas. Todd.
If the podcast movement folks want something to be done with that, then they know where I live. So,
I believe it's at was it at Academy of
Podcasters? Yeah.
.com. Right.
Yeah. So if they, and I'm hoping that the Hall of Fame is resurrected. I really truly believe it was a good process. But
well, Dan did say that he was going to. at Podcast Evolutions.
Yep, and
The topic came up when the Podcast Academy was announced.
And we were very forthcoming and saying we'd help them do a Kickstarter or something to help them raise money for it to get it going. So, Dan, if you're listening,
Lipson has said the same.
So, Dan, if you're listening, come on, or someone pinch Dan for us. All right, it's we're here. We started at 2:45, so we've actually are at an hour and a half.
Right,
and we've covered some good stuff here, and I think we all want to watch SpaceX launch, so we're gonna let everyone go.
Okay.
But thanks everyone for hanging out with us today. It's been fun. The numbers have varied. All of a sudden here, we started talking about the Podcast Academy, and then all of a sudden the Facebook numbers went up. So someone must have put the bat signal out or something. But anyway, thanks everyone for being here. I'm Todd at Blueberry.com. At Geek News is my Twitter account. Rob?
On Twitter at Rob Greenlee with 2 E's. Definitely follow me over there, and email is robg@libsyn.com.
You wanted to say your other one, didn't you?
Well, got too many other ones.
Yes, you do. But hey, everyone, thanks, James Hank, for hanging out and having fun with us as well. And we'll be back with you on Saturday at 12 noon Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, if you want to hang out with us on Saturday. But everyone,
Todd, I have some news too. I ordered a new video camera.
Oh, you did? What did you buy?
I bought a Sony. What's the model number? I can't.
Is it a DSLR or is it a?
It's a camcorder. It's a 4K.
Nice
camcorder. So and I got one of those capture cards.
Oh, which one did you get? The Maxwell or which one did you get?
The Maxwell one.
Yep. Wow, you're spending some money. Wow. Well,
I know, those are expensive.
They are expensive. I've got 5 of them, so yeah.
So hopefully here in the next, in the next 2 episodes or so, you'll see a new video image from me.
Well, that's good for you. All right, everyone. Thanks. We'll see you. Oh, SpaceX launch. Let's take the weather delay. Oh, that's going to suck if it is, but anyway, we've been here long enough. Everyone, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time here on the New Media Show. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.